You mentioned having this experience abroad, which I personally also recommend because this is how I ended up here too. And you mentioned also studying your practice during a recession and a crisis. I'm wondering also, because you're based in the UK, has Brexit have had any effect on your business? Because now, I don't know, here in Europe, I know it's mean to say, but everybody are kind of like happy every time they read something bad about Brexit. And now even when Nigel Farage said that Brexit was a disaster, we're like, yay. I mean, like sort of, it's a little bit like when your ex-girlfriend left you and you don't wish her well. But despite you loved her. So I'm wondering, like, I've heard, because I have a lot of, through the podcast also, I have friends in the UK, and they say, for example, that one thing is that there are lesser internationals in the bigger offices. And also, actually, I came to London last year, October, just for a comedy show. I came to see a comedy show, and I have been shortly after Brexit was announced. And I noticed that there were way more British people in the city than compared to before. Like, you could really hear the British accent in the city. So within your business has changed something that you can feel also because you work more on a local level. So maybe it's not so.
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, I was really annoyed that it went through, that the Brexit thing, that like there's so many of us still really annoyed about it. And I think even quite a lot of people who voted Brexit are annoyed because they feel like they were lied to about how it was going to be, and actually it's not like that. But the thing that's affected, I wouldn't say it's affected my staff so much. I mean, I employ somebody from Hungary, but she's been living here a long time anyway. And it's more the building workforce, because we used to, on our building sites, we used to employ a lot of Europeans. So that, and there aren't enough newly qualified builders coming through the system in the UK. So that's annoying. But in general, it's affecting the bigger sites more. Like, my local builders have always been local and they're mostly British or have lived here a long time. You know, there's some Polish builders have been here a long time, so they're not going anywhere. It's and like material price fluctuations and things. But that was also COVID. It's hard to kind of just separate what is Brexit and what is COVID regarding material prices sometimes. But yeah, also people have complained about their bigger practice is not being able to have enough staff, especially as like the European trained architects are really good. So they really want them to come and work in the UK. So that's annoying.
Yeah, I have to say, on a personal level, that before Brexit, I always thought, okay, what are other possible countries in Europe to attempt to have a good life as an architect? And I really like the UK because it's English speaking. So a lot of people speak English and they don't have that language barrier. And also I like to think in my mind, this is how I feel about it, is I feel the UK, it's quite, has some organizational and efficiency skill like the Germans, but they're more like, famous for the British humor, and you can have a little bit of a more easygoing, exchanges with the people. But after Brexit happened, it's not anymore even on because getting to work in the UK right now is as hard as, I don't know, going to the States or Australia. So despite this geographical closeness, it makes zero sense. Also, I had a friend that wanted to go and he had an interview, but after the company figured out how much money they have to spend on his visa, which is around 20,000 pounds or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, they were like, yeah, we really like you. And as you said, the European architects are really skilled, but some companies just, it's very hard, like to invest such a big amount of money in one employee. I've heard also that that for, as you said, skilled workforce has now higher fees. So we had also a lot of price fluctuation, as you said, of building materials, but it felt like in the UK it was a little bit like on a boost, like you experienced the same thing as us, just with a little bit of extra fuel in the fire.
Yeah, it's that definitely sounds like what's happened. I mean, from my perspective, it's been really difficult because I always do prepare a sort of ballpark cost for any project that we do before it starts, just so that clients have an awareness of what things are likely to cost. And obviously it's not a final thing because things change a lot in that process, but it gives people a starting point. But with all the material fluctuations, I've just had to put, this is what it normally is, but you can kind of add 25%. You kind of need to allow for that. It's and that's unaffordable for lots of people. So that's tricky.